Hi everybody, welcome, nice to be back. It's funny these things because we don't know when and where you are, so I hope you're happy when and where you are. If it's now, say good day. It'd be nice to hear from you. Oh, I'll put in the links at the comment.
Sure.
Thanks.
Yeah. We have gained extra links in the last week.
Yeah, we have. That's what we needed.
For those people who've been keeping an eye on us, we've started up a Patreon page with a lovely response from people. Thank you very much. And we're still in the teething process, figuring out exactly what to offer and what people expect and this sort of thing. So, yeah, any feedback would be really welcome. But we're giving it a good shot. We've been doing a bit of recording up the road in the very atmospheric little old church on the hill. And we'll be sending out a few clips to our Patreon as soon as we get them mixed up and edited. So maybe it's worth having a look.
Maybe. We're calling this series the Cultural Care Package series. Trying to change it up always a little bit with some different
I think some
themes.
people have found themselves at home again. They've made their own decisions and decided to stay at home. And we're very happy to be around and play some music and get us all together on a Saturday night. So, Cultural Care Package number 1.
Yeah, we'll try and mix up the themes a little bit, but sometimes we're just saying actually as we look through the list, you take away the big themes and lots of little fun ones kind of come along too. So, welcome. My name's Jason. This is Chloe.
Hi.
And this is our little house here in Millthorpe, or Spring Grove as we still call it. Old-fashioned us. And where are we? We're 250 kilometres west of Sydney, so Sydney's behind you down the road. Thundery and rainy here today. This is the best summer in the world. I know it's not for everyone.
It suits us very well.
But you don't live in Spring Grove without loving the cold and kind of enjoying a mild summer. I think we've hit 30 degrees once, and it's the end of January. I can't quite believe it, but anyway. And we're going to start off with... not that, no. Did we play that at our wedding? I think we did. I think we danced to that at our wedding. There's an image for you. Those who've followed along us over the years will know our fondness, to say the least, for Henry Lawson's work. And we're going to start with a couple of Henrys. Couldn't think of anything better in this time to stitch up a little bit of brotherhood and sisterhood of man than this piece from 1905 when Henry needed it himself. But it's a medley. The first piece is hopefully trying to warm the heart a little bit and make a prayer of sorts. And then we'll go straight into a piece of Henry's. Henry was very good at not making those kind of feelings vacuous, and one of the ways he did that in amongst the many ways is his work is never simple. And while we do want to feel good about each other and the world, there does seem to be a lot still that we need to think about. And in 1899, Henry had written a piece to give us something to think about, as he did, giving a voice to those who had none at the time. Not everyone, but some, working class Australia in particular. And I don't know, it's to ponder 121 years later how much has changed, 122, 3 years later, how much has changed and what has changed and what hasn't changed, and even in some respects what we might be losing along the way. I'll just make sure we can see people, Chloe.
All right, give us a wave if you're out there.
Kick it off. Oh yeah, okay.
All comments welcome.
Oh.
Well, try and keep them polite.
Only good ones. That's fine. Come and say good day. That's one of the things we hope to do without tightly structured themes.
Anyway, the first one we're doing tonight is one that we set to music ourselves.
That's true.
But there's the second one we'll sing, Second Class Wait Here, is an arrangement by Christina Momoki, and it kicks. It's great.
Yeah.
So we've been playing it for quite a few years, and I don't see this one falling off the list. It's excellent. So a bit of contrast, a bit of Henry in a good mood, looking at the world through a rose-tinted glasses and the warmth of mateship, followed by Henry and what really happened.
Oh, we have... I'm not going to get your name right, but help me with the pronunciation. But it's lovely to see you, and thank you. You can't stay home, you're a health worker. Thanks. Is it Magid or
Magid?
Magid, yeah. Help us out. And Jeff, hello. Good to have you back again. Good. I'm glad to have some company. I now know that we're sort of there. And we'll kick off.
That's all we ask for.
Saturday streaming, 2022 style. With all best wishes.
Oh, this is a song of the old lights that came to my heart like a hymn. And this is a song for the old lights, the lights that we thought grew dim, that came to my heart to comfort me, and I pass it along to you. Oh, here is a hand to the good old friend who turns up as good as new. And this is a song for the campfire out west where the stars shine bright. This is a song for the campfire where the old mates yarn tonight, where the old mates yarn of the old days, and their numbers are all too few. Oh, here is a song for the good old times that turn up as good as new. And this is a song for the old foe, though we've both grown wiser now. And this is a song for the old foe, and we're sorry we had that row. And this is a song for the old love, for the love that we thought untrue. Oh, here is a song for the dear old love that turns up as good as new. Oh, this is a song for the black sheep, for the black sheep that fled from town. This is a song for the brave heart that lived it down. And this is a song for the battler who sees it through. Oh, this is a song for the broken heart that turns up as good as new. And this is a song for the brave mate, be he bushman, Scot or Russ. A song for the mates we will stick to, for the mates who have stuck to us. And this is a song of the old creed, to do as a man should do, till the Lord takes us all to a wider world, where we'll turn up as good as new. Till the Lord takes us all to a wider world, where we'll turn up as good as new. As you pass, there are signs there on the platform saying, wait here, second class. And to me the whir and thunder and the click of a running gear seem to be forever saying, second class, wait here, second class,
Wait here,
second class, wait here. They seem to be forever saying, second class, wait here. The days of Serpent Prince, and the second class are waiting. They've been waiting ever since. There are gardens in the background, and the line is bare and drear. Yet they wait beneath a signboard sneering, second class, wait here. waste cutting, selling soap and blowers beer. Ghastly unenamelled signboards with their second-class wait here.
Yeah, wait
here,
here.
second
Wait here,
class wait here. Ghastly unenamelled signboards with their second-class wait here. And the others seemed like burglars, slouched and muffled to the throats, standing round apart and silent in their shoddy overcoats. And the wind among the wires and the poplars, bleak and bare, seemed to be forever snarling, snarling, second class wait here. Wait here, second class. Second class wait here. They seem to be forever snarling, snarling, second class wait here.
Wait here.
Chimney stack alone lay the works of Grinder Brothers with a platform of their own. And I waited there and suffered, waited there for many a year. I slaved beneath that phantom signboard, telling our class to wait here.
Yeah, wait here. Wait here,
second class wait here. I slaved beneath that phantom signboard, telling our class to wait here. A man
must feel revengeful for a boyhood such as mine.
God, I hate the merry houses near the workshop by the line,
And the smell of railway stations and the roar of running gear,
and the scornful seeming signboard saying
second class wait here.
Wait here, second class wait here. Oh,
The scornful seeming signboard saying second class wait here.
is ever going past, and there are no class compartments, and we all must go at last to that long white jasper platform with an Eden in the rear, and there won't be any signboard saying second class, wait here, second class, wait here. No, there won't be any signboard saying second class, wait here. I'll wait here, second class, second class, wait here. No, there won't be any signboard saying second class, wait here.
The signs are gone, but I remember the signs. I remember the signs in the trains, most certainly. Back when they built trains that hung around for a little while, you know. And, back when they built trains that fit on the platforms.
Those were the days.
Those are the days. Thanks, Roz, for the message. Yeah. So you remember? Good. Well, not remember good, but the second class signs.
Yeah.
There's a long story there. Carol's answered that too. It's nice to see you, Carol. Sounds like Facebook gave you a bit of grief, but it can. Thanks for the crap too. And we're saying g'day to Ron. I don't know if we've probably talked about this before, Ron, but I've got a kind of a relationship with Goulburn that goes from back a long time. It's a town that I love very much. We lived there when I was, not there, but a long way out of Goulburn. But it was a hell of a trek into Goulburn to Mulwaree when I started high school.
Depends which way the wind's blowing.
Yeah. You know all the Goulburn jokes, Ron, I'm sure. For those who aren't familiar with the Goulburn jokes, chook can lay the same egg 3 times in Goulburn.
Mm-hmm.
Around Goulburn.
You can tell a fellow who comes from Goulburn?
walks around the corner of the building and holds his hat.
That's
yes.
right.
Blow the dog off a chain, as they say. We can talk Goulburn any old time. Hello, Judy. Nice to have you. Your company too. Great. I'm pleased people are joining in. We're going to do one more Henry piece. I don't know what made me think of this
the Henry
one.
roll, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, you know what we think of Henry if you've followed us around at all. We're going to do probably his most famous poem, arguably, or one of. And we're going to accompany this poem. It's raining. I think that's what's kind of made me think of this poem a little bit today. And we're going to use a couple of tunes from Henry's area, some Mudgee tunes. Mudgee and Forbes Grenfell tunes, actually. So we've got him covered with these. Gulgong.
What's the first one? Just the Mudgee
Shodish, yeah.
And then Teaching Clarence.
Well, I think because we've panel beated a bit, I think we call it the East Mudgee Shodish, but that's a different story. And Teaching Clarence
McFadden to Waltz.
Yeah.
There's a lovely little YouTube clip of a record actually playing this. It's beautiful. If you want to go and hear the original beast.
The tune.
Yeah.
Teaching Clarence McFadden to Waltz. Beautiful tune. We learned it off. Hi, Kathy. Hello. Happy New Year. New Year. Here we go. We learned it from Dave DeHuga. Sally Sloan from Parks and Lithgow played this tune too, and it's a beauty. But the first one's from Mudgee, and the poem's one of Henry's.
Okay.
It was summer in September, and the sun was going down, when I came in search of copy to a darling river town. Come and have a drink, we'll call it. It's a fitting name, I think. And 'twas raining, for a wonder, up at Come and have a drink. 'Neath the public house veranda, I was resting on a bunk when a stranger rose before me and he said that he was drunk. He apologised for speaking. There was no offence, he swore, but he somehow seemed to fancy that he'd seen my face before. No offence, he said. I told him he needn't mention it. Might have met him somewhere. I'd travelled round a bit and I knew a lot of fellas in the bush and in the streets, but a fella can't remember all the fellas that he meets. Very old and thin and dirty were the garments that he wore, just a shirt and a pair of trousers and a boot and nothing more. Now he was wringing wet and really in a sad and sinful plight, and his hat was in his left hand and a bottle in his right. His brow was broad and roomy, but the lines were somewhat harsh, and a sensual mouth was hidden by a drooping fair moustache. His hairy chest was open to what poets call the wind, and I would have bet 1,000 that his pants were gone behind. Well, he agreed. You can't remember all the chaps you chanced to meet, and he said his name was Sweeney. People lived in Sussex Street. He was camping in a stable, but he swore that he was right, only for the blanky horses walking over him all night. He'd apparently been fighting, for his face was black and blue, and it looked as though the horses had been treading on him too. But an honest, genial twinkle in the eye that wasn't hurt seemed to hint of something better, in spite of drink and rags and dirt. It appeared that he mistook me for a long-lost mate of his, one of whom I was the image, both in figure and in phiz. He'd have had a letter from him if the chap were living still, for they'd carried swags together from the Gulf to Broken Hill. Now Sweeney yarned a while, and he hinted that his folks were doing well, and he told me that his father kept the Southern Cross Hotel, and I wondered if his absence was regarded as a loss when he left the elder Sweeney, landlord of the Southern Cross. He was born in Parramatta, and he said with humour grim that he'd like to see the city ere the liquor finished him, but he couldn't raise the money. He was damned if he could think what the government was doing. Here he offered me a drink. I declined. 'Twas self-denial. and I lectured him on booze, using all the hackneyed arguments that preachers mostly use, things I'd heard in temperance lectures. I was young and rather green, and I ended by referring to the man he might have been. Then a wise expression struggled with the bruises on his face, though his argument had scarcely any bearing on the case. Well, what's the good of keeping sober? Fellas rise and fellas fall. What I might have been and wasn't doesn't trouble me at all. But he couldn't stay to argue, for his beer was nearly gone. He was glad, he said, to meet me, and he'd see me later on. He guessed he'd have to go and get his bottle filled again, and he gave a lurch and vanished in the darkness and the rain. And of afternoons in cities, when the rain is on the land, visions come to me of Sweeney, with his bottle in his hand, and the stormy night behind him, and the pub veranda post. And I wonder why he haunts me more than any other ghost. Still, I see the shearers drinking at the townships and the scrub, and the army praying nightly at the door of every pub, and the girls who flirt and giggle with the bushmen from the west, but the memory of Sweeney overshadows all the rest. Well, perhaps it isn't funny. There were links between us two. He had memories of the cities. He'd been a jackaroo. And perhaps his face forewarned me of a face that I might see from a bitter cup reflected in the wretched days to be. I suppose he's tramping somewhere where the bushmen carry swags, cadging round the wretched stations with his empty tucker bags. And I fancy that of evenings when the track is growing dim, what he might have been and wasn't comes along and troubles him. One for Sweeney. Hello, Roy. Nice to sort of... the language has to change, Chloe. Roy, I can't see you. Send us a pic. If you're out there, there's an idea for 2022. Yeah, feet up on the table. Media blackout. Don't turn over to Ash Barty until we're...
What are you thinking?
No, if you are watching over there on the telly, just tell us the score.
That's
interesting. I don't think it's started yet.
I love the way Henry puts himself in that column.
Yeah, I bet.
The drooping moustache. Yes.
Part of the intent this year is to keep coming back to a little chirpiness, and we've got one of our favourite old tune sets for you now. So I guess is this a good time to just talk about how? Yeah, it is. Okay. Saturday streaming, these are free shows. This is our third season. There's 33 hour-and-a-half to 2-hour shows on YouTube of a lot of different themes, and they're all, a lot of them are song indexed from the front page of the website. Lots of ways to engage with stuff from the past.
Yeah, don't worry. You've got 2 weeks to go back and see them all before the next concert.
You catch up time. We're going to aim a little bit shorter and brighter for these shows, just to kind of make it sustainable for a bit longer, I hope.
Because we're sinking a bit of creative energy into making some recordings at the moment, so we're going to give ourselves a little bit of space to do that and get together on a Saturday for a bit of fun at the Saturday streamings.
So while they are free shows and the YouTube is there, there's a couple of ways to financially kick in. If you're out there watching and curious and thinking, the gigs are coming back, aren't they? I mean, to some extent that's what we're seeing. It's more complicated, much more complicated from the end of actually trying to do the gigs for lots of reasons, and I don't want to go on too much about them. Some of them are financial and technical and kind of logistical, and some of them are about the dreaded COVID and what's going on. So it's all just juggling a new world, and so I've got to honestly say this is actually the toughest time of the 2 years so far. Not to say the last 2 years have been easy, especially at first when the kind of shock of it all. But this is as tough as it gets, because we're trying to make calls ourselves, and That's not always easy. We're listening to the smartest people we can find and doing the best we can. So please do contribute, and there's a couple of ways that financially you could choose to do that. There's what we were doing last year on our website. Any album sale helps, and there's lots of albums there, physical albums, DVDs and CDs. Some are out of print, but all of the albums are available, or nearly all, as MP3 downloads. Yeah. We've still got those at the moment as a pay-what-you-like system, so you can pay nothing. Go and grab them. That would make me happy. You wouldn't be offending me at all. I don't, not even a bit. But some people are choosing to pay what they think they're worth, and $1.50. No, and some are taking that channel to help with more substantial amounts. But what's new? Patreon is new. We've overcome our reluctance, and I'm really glad we did. We had a lot of requests to set up a more formal subscription model.
Yeah, I got to say, getting a few people sponsoring us through Patreon has actually been quite inspiring. It's been we better get into action then and do some good things. It's been a great way to start the year. One
of the things that made us do, Chloe hinted at, inspired us to do, something we've been trying to do for about 20 odd years. Little hall, I first went in as a little kid up on the hill here, beautiful little St Mark's Hall. We just thought, that'll be a nice place to record one day. Well, wasn't it? The light was beautiful, the sound was amazing. We just had three of the most... I'd say magic and unforgettable days recording. Intense, not much sleep involved. But
just a beautiful little hall with a great sound. Anyway, things will appear.
So those are for clips mostly intended to thank the lovely Patreon people. But, anything is welcome. And if you don't or can't or whatever to financially contribute, we still want to really be strong about this. Just come anyway, because the company, when we say the cultural care package, as
goes both ways.
Yeah, very much. Don't want to make it think like we're the delivery service or something. It's just hopefully a shared experience. So, a couple of tunes. Let me think. Right, the first one's Pretty Jig. We call it the Pretty Jig. We found this one on a recording from Charlie Kyle. The Kyle family are from Nulla Creek. Grew up next to the Kyles grew up next to the famous Slim Dusty out there at Homewood. That part of the world, it's like a little Mississippi Delta of Australian music. It's very small and a lot of great music.
Really interesting little sort of side water.
A tune we learned from David DeSanti then, called Norm McConnell's set tune. Then we've got a little link in there that we call the Liverpool set tune. Anyone who's been keeping up with the Get Back series or any other Beatles-obsessed stuff that's going around might recognise the riff that we get to the last tune with, which is another of Charlie's, another one, Kyle Polka. So,
all right, let's see if sweaty fingers.
And the rain comes down.
It is humid in Millthorpe.
Welcome to the tropics.
Very strange. All right.
The Liverpool set tune, yes. That's a joke. Hello, Roger. Sorry you're late. Just been eating the rabbit I shot earlier. I'll tell you a story. When I was 13, I finally got my long-awaited rifle that I was waiting for out there on the farm. Gosh, I was keen. And Christmas morning, it was a Christmas present. And, bunnies. I went out with my rifle and... I'd shot a fair bit in my life. It was my first rifle, but a long way from my first out shooting for the dogs or shooting because we needed to in those days and didn't even think twice. And, spotlighting at -7 at 4 o'clock in the morning trying to get roos to feed the dogs. Yeah, on the back of the ute. Good stuff. But Christmas morning, 22 rifle from Bathurst out there onto the farm, and my nan loved rabbits. My dear Nanny Pie. And, hi. Speaking of rabbits, are you a rabbit? No. And anyway, Christmas morning, my mum actually met my dad buying a rabbit in the butcher shop. There's rabbits all through our family history. It's really extraordinary.
Like rabbits they are.
Yeah. Anyway, I knew Nan loved rabbits, so I went out. My dear Nan, we always spent Christmas with Nan. She loved Christmas as much as I do. And I went out and first shot, pop, bunny, back skin, home, and Nan was eating it by that afternoon, even though we had just had a roast for lunch, and you know how it goes. She was eating it to be kind, I'm sure, but it was delicious. Hi, Joanna.
Hi.
Do you know, we didn't know if we could afford guest artists this year. Joanna's normally very, very expensive, but you've come in just for ice cream, I think. Is that all we're paying you tonight, ice cream?
No.
No, we're not even ice cream. What do you got for us, Benny Ann?
A poem.
Say good day to everybody.
Good day, everybody.
They don't say good day back, really, except over here. We'll start seeing some people saying hello.
What do you suppose a bee sat on my nose? What do you think he gave a wink and says, I beg your pardon, I thought you were a garden.
Oh, bees don't. Do they do that?
Yeah.
Oh, did you tell him to, buzz off?
No.
No, all right. Have you got a joke too? I mean, is that what you're here to do?
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Good.
Good, who?
Good night, bye-bye.
Good night. That's it, see? She's come free of charge and brief. Brief, yeah. Before Christmas, some of you might have joined in. Hi, Kathy saying hello, Judy saying hello, Joanna.
We'll tell her later.
We'll tell her later. She does love to tune in and see what, she thinks her Facebook is her, which we've been homeschooling for 2 years now too. So the company's really appreciated. Thanks, guys. Like last year we decided to celebrate 30 years, Chloe, of playing
Decided
music.
to celebrate. You hear that? It wasn't absolutely, a given. That
We had
celebrate.
to remember first. It was our 30th, at the anniversary of our meeting to play music, and I guess this May we're coming up for 30 years of being together too, which is really, that's another thing we could celebrate.
We could celebrate that.
If you're inclined.
Oh.
But this is about the music, and we really met playing psychedelic, crazy, buzz, punky rock and roll in Sydney. So it was, we were writing songs. I mean, cover bands. Gosh, we used to play 7 or 8 hours in pubs and all through the night, and I guess a lot of songs came out. You knew a riff and half a verse and away you go. We were jamming bands, and but we were also songwriters, and that's how we met. So we decided to mark that 30th anniversary with 3 shows. We got through about half our original work in those 3 shows. They're all there on YouTube. Some of them we didn't know if we could ever visit again. Some of them we never will.
Yeah.
But there was a song. Okay. Hello, Tony. Good to see you too. There's that word again. I can't see you, Tony. But good to have your company. We're changing the language for the online show. We drive until the COVID come along. I'll tell this as a good story. We were glad to be off the road.
Yeah.
We love driving. We've done 10, 15 hours stretches straight to get from gig because someone else says there's a gig, and we never regret going, and the kids drive beautifully.
That allows us to have a sleep in the back.
That's right. Don't get us wrong here. But if you know musicians, you'll know we drive a lot. More than some people might think. the absolute peak of our driving was in the late 90s and early 2000s. We were doing, 6 and 7 and 8 gigs a week. And driving was a big part of that. I can't tell you how many Ks we racked up, except our old mechanic used to say, "You're worse than Sydney taxi drivers." Now, I'm sure there was some hyperbole in there, but you get the idea. And a lot of the driving is dangerous and dark. We miss them too. Judy's just saying how much she loves folk festivals. Yeah.
Yeah, driving was marvellous in some ways. I mean, the drive there was always a bit stressed and thinking about the gig and are we going to get there in time and what do we have to do when we get there and all that sort of stuff. But driving home could be a real joy because you would be all fired up and you'd have the best conversations and you'd build the castles in the sky, make the plans for the next however long, come up with the new ideas. But that was the first couple of hours of the trip, and after that it gets a bit tired and a bit hairy.
2 drivers in the car.
Yeah,
and
so you can swap drivers, but it's still pretty late and pretty dark.
Chloe's a very sensible driver, and despite all appearances, so am I. So, and love the physically driving, love it to bits, miss it now. But yeah, we were aware that it was a dangerous thing, and we had acquaintances. And in one case, a friend died. And in about, I'm going to say 2000, we wrote this song. And then we just put it on the shelf. We'd never...
I think it was written when we were living in the Illawarra, so we're driving down that coast road to get home. We're driving down the coast.
Anyway, we were aware that we were running risks. People who knew us well said, "I hope you've both written out your wills." Now, I guess... Even though we are sensible drivers, as I said, and good drivers, both of us, we there were near misses. There were some very close calls, in fact. Some of them through our errors of judgment, and a lot of them through, as my dad would say, was the other idiots,
Yes.
But we wrote this song, we put it away, and late last year we pulled it out again, and maybe having 2 years off the road has given me a little internal fortitude to have a look at this one.
Beyond the headlights glow, each flash of light, each cross. Another hero falls behind, cut adrift in slippery darkness, clinging to this thin white line. I have played, I have sung, and I have earned my fee. Now the battle lines are drawn between this road and me. hours there, for 4 more hours back again. I have played away the cares, other people gathered there, now memories ring where I have This hero's road seems peaceful now, and I may yet survive. Many a brave soul thinks to travel, many a soul does not arrive. Hard-won coins here in my pocket, half-formed songs still unexpressed. I shall sleep through whole lives thankful, when at last I get to rest.
But we're still here, and I don't regret a mile of the drives, that's for sure. And we'll do it again the second they give us a chance. We won't hesitate. Thank you, Judy. I'm glad. It seems to be coming through well. Roger says, great playing. Well, thanks. We have our moments, I guess. See Chloe's poker face there? You see that? Oh, Carol, thank you. Thanks. That's really great. You know, anyone out there who's made anything of any kind of artistic endeavour of any kind will know how nice it is when you do a new one and someone goes, that worked. So thanks. Doesn't have to work for you, but if it works for you, it's always nice to hear. All right, we put that song aside for a year or 3, and then we got the worst of all possible news when our touring buddies, our musician mates, one of our favourite bands in the world and people we love to bits, from Asturias in Spain, the wonderful band still going, Felpayu. We had have so much in common with those people. They were inspiring to us. They made significant suggestions about our music, about forming our big band Collector that came in and around those people. And they're come on, where is it? You do it, sort of talk. Just right down to tiny things about music and learn from listening, learn from watching and sessioning. And I don't know. They were
playing extremely straight traditional music with a lot of heart and a lot of energy, and they played it with such love.
I know some of you will know the people very well.
Go and look them up.
And if you don't, have a look. Pierre's the album that I love to bits, and they made a live album
live
to
in
bring
Australia, which is very
not
nice.
live in Australia. It was live to bring to Australia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was one of those tour CDs.
I was thinking of it as that one, but okay.
Yeah, that's right. And that's got one of my favourite tunes in the world on it. That slow march, the funeral march. Anyways, this is a set of tunes from Felpayu. Now, our last meeting with the band was a long time ago. We were in Halkia, in the Crow in Denmark, in Jutland, it was on that side, isn't it, Halkia? And it was a wonderful festival, and Felpayu were there. It was just, this was not a tour we were on together. We just happened to be there, and they were there. Oh joy! We knew it was coming. Of course, you see the program, and what are the odds? Brilliant. It's one thing to. Anyway, it was unexpected pleasure. And we took full advantage of that pleasure.
We did, to chat and play.
We played and we sang and we did what we could to enjoy each other's company. We played all night, as we used to do. And here is the real rub of the danger of musicians' miles, because you play all night, you play all day, you play all night, and then you go, oops, 10 hours to be somewhere which is actually 12 hours away. And anyway, honestly, this is not unusual really, because Dad's always one to say be careful on the road. So when I say goodbye to people, I do tend to say take care. I guess we all do in some way. But I saw their van leave that morning, and it was just a sense of, really take care. I wouldn't like to be driving now.
No,
they're tired, and we've done that too many times. Anyway, just a little bit later on, we got the sad news that they had, not on that trip, but shortly after, had an accident, and we lost members of Felpai, we lost friends, and that song of ours got left on the shelf until now. So we'll do this set of tunes from those wonderful people. We won't do it as well as they do. Indeed. Yeah, Roger, Nick Jones. Yeah. There's lots, and it's just one of those things that we've been thankful for, is to have a spell from that. And, it makes you appreciate the driving too. And like I said, we love it. Love it to bits. We call this the Absent Friends set. We recorded it for them, from tunes from them.
It's two of the pieces we've learned from Phil Poker's playing.
So, Absent Friends.
Yeah. Here's to them.
Mm-hmm. And when I first heard these kind of tunes, if you're not familiar, it's part of the Celtic Rim. Asturias is a Celtic Spain, and the tunes are rich and deep, multi-part. Way back, it comes from a pipe tradition. It's a Celtic tradition, very much. And a lot of people who heard Felpai who weren't familiar with some of the nuances around the music. So it sounds a little Irish, or it sounds a lot Irish, some people would say, but no, you wouldn't pick it as Irish, but you certainly wouldn't pick it as any other kind of Spanish form of music. When I first heard those tunes, they sounded like jigs to me, but I think they're manieras. Kathy, yeah. That Tierra CD in high rotation.
That's the one.
Flawless.
Beautiful.
Just flawless. They won the Absent Friend set, and both those tunes are on that beautiful Tierra album Kathy was talking about in there. And
you could probably find a link.
Oh yeah, and if you can't, let us know. If you can't, let us know. At the risk of repeating ourselves, we are these shows are free. We're getting a couple of people we've not met before, so that's really good to come and join the party. It's pretty relaxed, pretty chill. Sometimes we get them right, sometimes we muck them up, but we're doing our best. And I just love the idea of getting together. The Saturday streaming shows can be supported. Don't need to be. Please come anyway, regardless of any intent or ability to pay. But if you can, we really appreciate the help more than ever. And it's the toughest time of COVID right now. We planned for 2 years when it hit. We didn't buy into the 6 weeks, 4 months thing we were pretty, tried to get the smartest people we know to talk to us. And that 2 years is now up, and we're still ticking. Anyway, the best, there's any way you want to help financially I tell you what, it lifts the spirits too. There's the website, where you can really get pretty much anything, but the website is particularly a good place if you're interested in buying some of our music. CD's on the way, Roger, but I know you have it already, but we posted on Friday. Buy CDs, album downloads, pay what you like, as little or as much. There's a donate button. All of that will work with a credit card. PayPal is just a way of making that credit card work. I know it annoys some people, but doing what we can. On the other hand, the Patreon is
Patreon,
a new
we've
thing.
created tiers, but if you just open the bottom tier and put in any number you like, that is actually fine. That will work. So, yeah, don't be put off if we haven't picked the right category for you. And we are hoping to keep up with the stories, the sort of gig pick style stories on that Patreon page. What? Who's making you?
Sorry, Judy Newton with an A, not Newton. Chloe's Newton. So thank you so much. Just purchased an album. You should change your name to Guns and Bloody Roses. I saw them, Guns and Roses, Eastern Creek. Yeah, it was mad. Even the band were good, but the crowd was enormous and great. I thought the crowd outshone Guns N' Roses at that. Roger, you helped through the beautiful site, and likewise, I don't know if you can, you will. Mainly folk is a mind-blowing. It's like folk viral. It is.
Where do you find that?
Well, our search in Facebook. It's a Facebook page, but Roger's here, and I'll leave it to Roger to throw a link up. Roger, just please
talk among yourselves.
Yeah. That's just something that just delivers great folk music to your page every day, and kicks a lot of rubbish off, if you're a Facebook user, and I know you all are because you're here. Anyway, the little mini themes that come from a relaxed approach have been a real joy. That was one, bit of a sad one. This is less sad, but it's a bit of a study in how songs are parodied in the late 19th, early 20th century in the Australian bush. That's something that we are endlessly fascinated with, whether it's big old country ballads where they've been changed, and what do the changes tell you? What's going on?
What was important? What was worth keeping? What could you leave out? It's very interesting, the editing process of the folk machine. And we've got two contrasting examples.
Yes, very, yeah.
Both of which have been brought closer to the Australian heart, attitude, character in very different ways.
That's true.
I don't want to preempt the first one too much.
No, I don't either, but I will say this, that if you're new to our music, and we're a bit like the weather in Melbourne. If you don't like it, wait 5 minutes. The only thing all the things we have have in common, the things that we play have in common, is that Chloe and I both love them. So that's the only rule, really.
Okay.
I remember Alan Musgrove singing this one. So what we have here is a parody of a great Stephen Foster song. No,
that's
a great Stephen Foster melody.
Okay.
And it's one of those songs, like Old Shep. You might even know Stephen's one, called Old Dog Tray. Now, you know the kind of thing. The bloke loses his dog, and I know it can be very sad. Don't get me wrong, but sometimes the over sentimental songs got a reaction out of me. They have my whole life. I listen to them and I go, nice tune, but Are you for real? And now, so that's not everyone, but that's me. And, but it's not only me, because the bloke that put this one together definitely had the same reaction to the overly sentimental Stephen Foster song.
Everyone's got a pet story.
True. Is fast and the morning time is past. The sing of the dawn, it's too late in the day. Well, I've tried a change of air, almost more than I can bear, to remind me of my old dog Tray. Old dog Tray was ever faithful. No grief came upon him, though one day, for the governmental hacks would insist upon their tax. It made an end of old dog Tray. He was very good at rats and a mortal foe to cats. We were more like brothers than I care to say, but 8 shillings every year for his company it was dear. There was nothing left of old dog Tray. Old dog Tray, he had a plateful of meat and potatoes one fine day, and inside that savoury mass hid a dose of prussic acid. It was fatal to my old dog Tray. They bore him from my sight, it overcame me quite. I was ill, I was wretched, I was wasting away. From my food I loathing turned, and my dinner beer I spurned, thinking of my old dog Tray. Old dog Tray, we met again though. To eat they enticed me one day, with some tempting savoury pies, in which I recognised the flavour of my old dog Tray. Oh, I've missed you, mate.
Don't need the pies.
But it's good to have you back. But I've always had you back. Teddy Creighton, here we are. So that's a disgraceful thing to do to a beautiful Stephen Foster song, I think you'll agree.
I don't know if I'm a dog person. I'm more of a cat person, Jason.
I like cats.
You like cats?
I couldn't eat a whole one. That is a very old joke, Chloe. You do straight men better than I do funny.
Oh dear.
Yeah, oh no. Hey, they can be treated with character, but without being treated badly. That's why these are an interesting contrast. Another beautiful tune. Gosh, he could write a melody. I mean, the most famous song of Stephen's, I suppose, would be somewhere between Hard Times, Come Again No More, and Camp Down Races, I suppose, is pretty big too, yeah. But this one's Gentle Annie. It's a song that Stephen wrote when his grandmother passed away.
This song is not about someone's well, maybe.
No. Well, it's
earlier in the story.
It could be about someone's grandmother, but not the protagonist, not the narrator, would you say?
Yeah, fair enough.
So they can be treated and given, and were treated with care, but the melodies were irresistible. That's the conclusion with these parodies. The melodies were just
a good melody is a
too
good melody.
Good. And as Mr. John Dengate used to say, a good tune is far too important for just one set of words. So this one's Gentle Annie. Actually, this is a version where we reached back from the Australian Bush version, which come from down central Victoria. And I can fill you in on a few details of that on the online where it came from and so forth. It's an interesting story. It's one of those folk stories where you can get heated discussions going. I don't necessarily want a heated discussion, but I love the song. But we actually went back to Stephen Foster's sheet music. We happened to have it lying around and brought that bridge in. That was never in.
That's right. So yes, yeah, we have schmaltzed it up just a little bit by adding back in the Stephen Foster. And it falls in a funny place. He had these and thys in his words, so there's been a little bit of tweaking to kind of bring the language up. But that's the joy of, playing around with a tradition. You get to bring all these different threads from everywhere, which is a great luxury in this day and age where you could search and find all sorts of things. The sheet music, the various versions, put it all together, see what you like.
I've got to say, after 3 shows of a quote-unquote original music, it's so good to get back to doing something original. No, I'm too hard on our own songs, but you know what I mean. There's just as much invention and creation and originality in working with this stuff, in my experience, for what...
Usually more in expression than actually mucking about with it too much.
But in the cultural resonances,
certainly
Chloe,
in putting together jigsaw puzzles, because sometimes there is only a verse.
But in the playing... In the way it gets straight into, if it gets you, it gets you, and that's what I was more thinking of, was in the singing as well. Yeah. I love this song very much, and I'll be thinking of Chloe when she sings it.
Thanks.
Well, not all the lines. Some.
Come on. All right. Time comes, gentle Annie, and the wild oats are scattered round your door. You'll be anxious to know, gentle Annie, how your little stack of oats is going to yield. Are your muttons very sweet, gentle Annie? And I'm sure it can't be packed in New South Wales, but you'd better put a fence round those cabbage, or they'll be all het up by the snails. And you'll take my advice, gentle Annie, and you'll watch the old chaffee going away with his pack bag hung on his saddle, and he stole some knives and forks the other day. When the springtime comes, gentle Annie, and the wild flowers scatter o'er the plain, shall I never more behold you? I'll never hear your witty voice again. gentle Annie, and with you I can no longer stay. So I'll bid you farewell, gentle Annie, and hope to meet another threshing day. We're travelling on the road into Bone Bank, gathering up a feeder, Billy Yates. Shall we meet again, gentle Annie, next year when we're threshing round your door? I'll never forget you, dear Annie, the little dark-eyed girl that I adore.
Two Stephen Foster melodies, and undeniably beautiful things, and treated very differently in different hands of different bush singers. Our last two, and these little paired themes that we didn't even really sort of plan very much, but out they come. We marked the 26th of January last week, and we went into our recording that we've been doing for our Patreon supporters. We've come up with a bunch of clips. We're going to have edit and put them all together. And we just recorded in a little hall up the hill, as we were saying. It's something we can see from our house if it wasn't such a green year.
That's right.
It's just a little bit out, but it's, nearly throw a rock. Anyway, it's a beautiful spot. And we very much went into that recording with the idea in mind that the 26th of January, well, what a fast evolving date in our lifetimes it's been. And since I found one person found it a troubling day when I finally got into my teens and realised that might be actually make sense, that it's a day that hurts, a day that is almost random in our celebration, almost random. A couple of boats popped the way up the coast from one cove to another and threw a flag up on an infinitesimally, disappearingly small, undeniably stunning part of the world and said, ours. It's not a day to celebrate in this house, okay? So that's okay if you do, that's just here. And I had to learn that. Australia wasn't a big thing when I was a kid anyway. But then the bicentennial came along. We'll talk about that in a sec. And this is a piece. No, we're not Aboriginal people. I didn't even acknowledge country. I'm just realising in our fumbling way back into Saturday streaming. But I will say that we're parked right here in Wiradjuri country, and barely a day goes by where we don't actively think about how lucky we are. Not only ourselves, but in the way we teach the kids about what it means to live here and how lucky we are, how fortunate. But we can't write from an Aboriginal perspective. Dennis Kevins was Australia's poet laureate, one of our great old mates, another absent friend, Dennis. This was the first poem I ever learnt. I've only been doing poems, sounds like a long time now, 13, so 9 years. After 40 years of playing music, I finally decided I'd have a crack at poetry, and this was the poem that lured me in. He wrote a piece called Our White Man, or Our Brother, depending on how you get the poem. Have you any sacred sites? Now, it's a question we all know the answer to. But there are lots of very powerful questions in the world where the answer is apparent and still worth asking. Suddenly tangentially reminded of a great Tom Waits quote the other day. He said, "The problem with the internet is when I ask it a question, it thinks I want an answer."
What we actually want is a discussion. Yeah. So.
Okay. Ah, brother, I'm searching for the sites sacred to you, where you walk in silent worship and you whisper poems too, where you tread like me in wonder and your eyes are filled with tears and you see the tracks you've travelled down your 50 50,000 years. I'm searching around Australia. I'm searching night and day for a site to you so sacred that you won't give it away for a bit of coloured paper. I say a church you're knocking down, or the rocks, a nation's birthplace by the bridge in Sydney town. Your cathedrals I have entered. I've seen the empty aisles where a few knelt in sorrow, or where were all the children's smiles. Yeah, big cathedrals full of beauty, opal glass and gleaming gold, and an old man in an overcoat who'd crept in from the cold. Your schools, I've drifted through them, heard the sound of swishing canes, heard the yell of angry teachers crushing flowers in our brains, heard the bark up on the rostrum where the powers had their say. Or wouldn't children's hearts be sacred, though they're made, like mine, of clay? Where's your wonder? Or where's your worship? Where's your sense of holy awe? When I see those little children torn apart by fear of war, what is sacred to you, white man? What is sacred to your clan? Are your totems rainbow feathered? Is there dreaming in your man? Sacred. Sacred. Sacred? Gee, you chuck that word about, and when echoes answer sacred, sacred, louder still you shout, and the echoes come in patterns, and then louder every one, till they meet like waves together, and go bang, just like a gun. Sacred. Hesitating, now a film is reeling through my brain and through my memory of our sacred rendezvous, of our meeting, of our parting, of my tears as sweet as ice and my numb incomprehension at a shattered paradise. Sacred, oh so sacred was our sacred rendezvous, and your ferocious anger when you found we weren't like you. But if I should make an act of faith, in a voice both firm and clear, that there is something sacred to me, you start drowning in your beer. What is sacred to your brother? What's sacred to your heart? Is Australia just a quarry for the bauxite belts to start? Are the forests are forgotten? And the tinkling of the bell birds in the mountains is just something more to sell? No, brother, I'm searching for the sites sacred to you. But the rivers, clear as crystal, smell like sewerfuls of spew from the pump and pipe polluters and the nukes that fleck the foam. Or would you let a man in dirty boots go walking through your home? Sacred means that. Sacred. It's a place where spirits rise with the rainbow wings of sunset on the edge of paradise. Sacred? That's my mother. That's my daughter. That's my son. Sacred? Are the dreaming whispers hope for everyone. In the silence of the grottos of Australia's mighty land, stand with the first Australians. Stand together, hand in hand, open eyes to endless beauty and to spirits far and near. For Australia is my country. It is sacred to me here. Ah, brother, I'm searching for the site sacred to you, where you walk in silent worship and you whisper poems too, where you tread like me in wonder and your eyes are filled with tears and you see the tracks you've travelled down your 50,000 years. When we could never say that, so we thank Dennis Kevins for being able to, so that we can. Yeah. Roz has got the idea of celebrating the Rum Rebellion. Goodness. Yeah, pick a date, any date. What would I go for? I don't know. Think about that one. We're going to finish tonight with a song written specifically for Australia Day by a man who I first heard just before he wrote this song, come to think of it, actually.
About that time.
Yeah, just before then, when I first headed off to Sydney. I'm talking about Alistair Hulett and Roaring Jack. I first saw him at the bar at Macquarie. I was the first in my family, still the first in my family, to get anywhere near a university, and I was good, you know. I majored in dropping out as slowly as possible. I was having such a good time. No, I went for the music, and I found the music, and the lectures were
a bonus.
A bonus. Also, I didn't understand what I was doing. They're much better now. I think Kathy might have an opinion on this. Looking after people like me, as I was then. I went back to uni all those years later, and it was just like nothing to ace the course and what have you, the subjects. But in those days, I didn't know. I was stumbling around, majoring in and being an idiot mostly, but I did get a lot out of the music and the politics. I was always the black sheep, no matter what political group I was in. I was just because I was pig-headed, probably. But I got first real solo gigs. No, that's not true, but playing in the bar at Macquarie Uni at the start of a long list that ended up with Alistair Hulett and Roaring Jack. Now I'm talking, I played for 5 people at 1 p.m. and yeah, don't get carried away. But I heard him play, and I thought it was terrific. Most of the times I heard Ali in those days are a little foggy in the memory, to be honest. Because he went on at 11 p.m. and I went on at 1 p.m. But the logic is there somewhere. Yeah.
No amount of chips and gravy is going to fix that.
Oh, Kathy says, yeah, back when we had good music at Macquarie Uni. Oh, that's sad. But, yeah. Somehow indicative of a wider trend, I think. The one thing I did notice when I went back to uni 7 years ago, great, ace the course, do the subjects, get a lot out of the study. Cultural wasteland. Not a thing. So anyway, that's another subject.
Yeah.
Alistair Hulett passed away 12 years ago. We just marked that anniversary. Tomorrow we're zooming in to Roger Joseph's Alistair Hulett tribute. I'll put a link in, actually. These Zoom things can be really good, but you know this one's going to be great. Alistair's songs are fantastic. I've seen the list of who's coming, and it's mighty. It really is. It's one of those. Well, if it was a folk festival stage, which let's say it is, then it's one of those gigs you think, that's one in a month that you kind of look for. Anyway, Carol's coming. Good on you. Yeah, come on down. I'll put the link if. Alistair wrote this for the Bicentennial Australia Day, the big one. You know, the one where everything got a little silly, and. Don't get me wrong, I have 2 ancestors that I know of on that first fleet, you know. I'm invested in this story. Not a day to celebrate for them either. Alistair wrote it for the Bicentennial, but they wouldn't let him sing it. That's that old line, coming, Kathy? Yeah, it's going to be great, man. It's going to be, I've seen the list of not only who's coming, but some of the songs that are getting sung. It's going to be a beauty. Yeah, Alistair was banned from singing this song, which meant he sang it at most gigs from that day on. And I reckon we've sung it on about every Australia Day at least once.
That's right. Sometimes
6 or 7 times at those 6 or 7 gigs that we used to stack up on that day, trying to kind of bring a thoughtful attitude to the date. What's that old line? If music really changed the world, they'd ban it. Hang on.
That's right.
All right, thanks for coming, everybody. Hope the new format suits. Tell your mates and come along.
Yep.
The Patreon's there. A couple of people have just joined in. The Patreon is there. We've got a subscription sort of model now that people are supporting, and we're really enjoying it after a little reticence at first. But there's also donations and album orders, or just come and enjoy the company like we have. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Look after each other and be careful.
Ride the wave.
Ride the wave, yeah.
Right.
And we'll see you at a gig too, sometime soon. It'll happen. Came to this country in fetters and chains, outlaws and rebels with numbers for names, and on the triangle were beaten and maimed, blood-stained the soil of Australia. On dukes and duchesses, flash lads and whores, you worked the plantations, you polished their floors, lived in their shadow and died in their wars. Blood-stained the soil of Australia. Oh, does it quicken your heart to see tar and concrete cover the tracks of the old blood train? You've grown so heartless to christen it progress when the Swaggies have all walls Matilda away. Dogs from your own native home, hardship and poverty force you to roam over the bracken, over the foam, where blood stained the soil of Australia, and caught in a fever for fortune and fame, you forced the poor blacks to suffer the same, imprisoned on missions or hunted for game. Stain the soil of Australia. Does it quicken your heart to see tar and concrete cover the tracks of the old blood train? Have you grown so heartless to christen it progress when the Swaggies have all walls until away? It's 200 years since you came to this land, betrayed by the girl in the black velvet band, and still to this day you just don't understand how blood-stained the soil of Australia. Oh, Korean, white, old Australian and you, brothers and sisters of every hue, the future is ours, take the wealth from the few, and raise the red flag in Australia. Let it quicken your heartbeat, roads at your own feet, travel it lightly and travel it well, and don't speak of success, nor christen it progress, till the Swaggies can all waltz Matilda as well. No, don't speak of success, nor christen it progress, till the Swaggies can all waltz Matilda as well. Yeah, Kathy, you're right. Here's to Alistair Hulett, and
Indeed.
And his songs are he's not, but his songs are. And if you want to hear a few of them, it won't be all Ali songs though. I've got to say, people are singing all kinds of things in that social justice. Yep. There's a donation that can be made to a very good cause in that sense of, if you're hoping for things to improve for those who are struggling, and who could argue with that? Thank you very much for the company. It's been a really nice way to jump back into the thing. I'm going to put my croaky old throat to bed now, I think, or look after those kids a little bit. They struggle a bit when we're recording because they're all kind of hoyed off into, well, usually we just leg rope them to the clothesline, but don't tell them. You said don't tell them.
I said, no. Yeah.
They're fine, but it's probably us looking forward to their company more than the other way around, probably. But thanks for the company. We'll try and edit it all up and get it up onto YouTube as we normally do. If you're not familiar with this, you've seen it now, but you know what I mean. There is we've got the other camera and the audio being recorded for hopefully a slightly better listening and watching experience than Facebook can deliver all the time. And some people have trouble at the internet at their end, and our old pedal-powered NBN and candle-powered cameras. They're doing all right. They're doing all right, I think. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Good night.